Hello, and welcome to another questionably exceptional episode of We Only Look Thin. Easy for me to say. I am Katherine Weigel, and I am one of your hosts. I have lost about 145 pounds. I'm a tiny habits coach.
Yeah.
And with me today is...
Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds, and I am also one of your hosts, and we're here to talk to you about stuff.
Yep, we sure are. And you might recall, if you have already heard us talk, that last week we talked about loopholes.
Oh, yeah.
Our good friend Gretchen Rubin.
Boy, last week was so long ago, I already forgot.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, it was a different time.
I'm not the same person I was 7 days ago, you know what I mean?
That's why I don't like taking responsibility for my past choices, because I'm like, that was the old me. My future self is not having it.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't want any accountability.
That's right.
But we went over 5 loopholes that Gretchen Rubin talks about in ways that we sabotage our own efforts by saying we don't have any control over our choices.
It's true. Like a lot of podcasts, I just want to point out, will give you maybe 2, perhaps 3 loopholes in an episode. You got 5.
As many as 5.
You got 5 loopholes.
Yeah, and you're going to get
and 5 more this week.
You're going to get 5 more. There are many more.
I mean, you can't afford not to listen.
I know. What are we going to say? But speaking of which, I just want to start this episode. Donald doesn't know what I'm going to say.
I don't.
I'm just going to start this episode by talking about how we don't know it all.
Oh,
we don't know it all.
It's true.
We don't have all the answers.
Yeah,
and
no.
It turns out most bitterly, and I'm kind of bitter about this, we don't have all of the puns in our own head.
That's true.
I pride myself on coming up with names for episodes before the content. I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we have what? This is episode 224, I think, 224 episodes.
That's
and
legit.
I would guess Catherine has named 219 of them.
Probably. I'm just coming. How can I tie my childhood back into today? There are many episodes I still haven't figured out how we would work in. Batteries not included.
Yeah, probably like 6 or 7 times a week, Catherine goes, okay, title for an episode, and then she'll like say it, and then okay, so what will this episode be about? Like, how do we like make the content fit the title?
Yeah, our daughter listens to TikTok radio. Yes, that's a thing. And they play the most random songs, but one of them was We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I'll take a note as we'll drive. I'm like, hey, Siri, remind me to have an episode called Walt Didn't Start the Fire. And our daughter's like, would you stop? Not everything is an episode title. So, you're getting the best. You're getting the best of what we can think of.
Yeah, you save your mom jokes for our kid, luckily.
Yeah, but not unfortunately. Fortunately, we have passionate listeners.
Yeah.
Who best us in coming up with episode titles. And I'm a little ashamed. I'm a little embarrassed that we didn't come up with a title for this episode.
This might be the first title we've used that was a listener suggestion.
It might be.
Maybe.
It might be.
I can't remember. Somebody's going to angrily write in and tell me that we used their title on episode, 42 or something.
Yeah. But we're praising Samantha today. We are praising Samantha. She loves the sound of our old-timey episodes.
Yeah.
I'll start by saying that.
Yeah.
She has been able to lose 75 pounds. Woo!
That's
woo! I didn't lose
amazing.
75 pounds this year.
Yeah.
I've not done that at all.
No.
But she came up with the episode title for this one, which is Loop, There It Is. And I read that, and my heart crushed that I hadn't come up with that.
Catherine was super jealous that she hadn't thought of Loop, There It Is. And, those who don't know, we are giant fans of the rap group Tag Team.
There it is.
Came up with Whoop, There It Is. Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what? But now, we do the pump up the volume. We're known for our cleverness. And Samantha has joined the team as the next wordsmith, so we're really excited.
All right, so Samantha, we expect from you to email us with the next 47 titles so that we don't have to come up with any more.
Yeah, but you are an inspiration, Nation, so congratulations for doing that.
Yes, thank you, Samantha.
But now,
and thank you for your, I don't know why I'm thanking her, but congratulations on your weight loss
and
achievement.
Cleverness and wordplay, because that's what really this is all about.
And really bringing the rap group Tag Team back to the forefront of all of our thinking, because they're really unsung heroes in the musical world.
No, but now we can like I was just about to say, but like we like coming up with like pump up the volume and doctor, because it's so fun to use those terms. But now anytime I'm invoking some sort of loophole, you just say loop there. So, as I'm apt to do as a 48-year-old woman living in the suburbs. So, it's super cool, super rad. I'm doing the Cabbage Patch right now as I'm saying it. So anyway, so thank you, Samantha. Credit goes to Samantha. Thank you very much, Samantha.
All right. So now we are going to talk about loopholes. As we did last episode, Gretchen Rubin, imaginary friend of the show. I mean, she's real, but in our imaginations, she's a friend of the show, has 10 loopholes of life, things lies basically that we tell ourselves that prevent us from, that give us sort of permission to do things that we really know we don't want to do or shouldn't do.
Yep.
We give ourselves permission to do it, and we're going to go through another 5.
Yep. And I will start out with number 6.
Number 6.
Number 1 of this episode, if you're keeping track.
Oh, boy,
I'm just trying to make it complicated. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is the "this doesn't count" loophole. I'm on vacation. It's the weekend. When you make exceptions for special occasions, every weekend is a special occasion. Every Tuesday is a special occasion. A friend comes over. It's only half a glass. There's so many things that we do. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't count.
Yeah, and I have dubbed this one the weight loss fairy loophole.
Yeah.
Which is the idea that the weight loss fairy is going to grant you a wish and, give you permission to eat whatever you want for a particular occasion, and the calories just won't count.
Well, and it's that like, oh, I'm just eating a couple things off our daughter's plate. Oh, I just took a taste of that chocolate chip cookie. It doesn't really matter. I actually took a taste of something the other day that we'd gotten our daughter a granola bar. She's like, you better track that. That's a bite. And she was right. And I did. And, I actually did some fun math while you weren't paying attention.
Oh, whoa. I love fun math too, and I am sad that I wasn't paying attention to it.
Okay, so you're going to get it now, so it'll be fun for you in the moment. So I made so many exceptions for things that I grabbed one chocolate piece, one mini candy,
right,
one pizza crust,
right,
a couple of fries,
yeah.
And throughout the day with all the bites, licks, and tastes of things, and I'm not talking about I don't have a cucumber problem, you don't have, if you don't track your cucumber, it's fine.
Right. I didn't weigh and measure my cucumber, and that's why I gained 100 pounds.
But it's that extra, little bit of peanut butter every day that adds up, all those, heavy fats or extra piece. There's only one cookie left. I might as well just eat it. Even though the portion is 6, it's the baker's dozen that I do.
Right.
So let's just, for funsies, because it's super fun. I like doing fun math. Let's say you get 300 calories a day. That are just the throwaway. It's just one. It's just the extra.
Yeah, 300 calories, whatever.
Over the course of a year.
Yeah.
That is almost 110,000 calories.
That's unbelievable.
109,500 calories,
which is almost 110,000 calories. Yeah,
I don't know. You like specificity, so I didn't want Catherine, we've got to do a correction because
I've tried to get much better about not.
I know, but I saw you
that.
white knuckle and look at a calculator as soon as I gave the math because you wanted to make sure that we were super perfect. So I appreciate.
Why do you have to call me out like that?
I'm just saying. So I just want to add some depth to the podcast to let people know what we're really like.
Yeah, and, it's that sort of thing just to, round this out, close the loop on this one, so to speak. You say to yourself, well, I don't do that except on special occasions. Well, and except when I'm out with friends, and except on the weekend, and except on days that end in Y.
It didn't even taste good, so why should I be penalized for it?
Yeah, so, you're not counting it, but really, 110,000 calories later.
Well, and I know you just said you were going to close the loop, so I'm sorry about this, but
you're opening the loop then closing it again.
Opening the loop and closing it again. This brings up sort of a paradox that I haven't quite figured out yet, is we talk about there being no finish line, but unfortunately when we say there's no finish line, then maybe it takes away the urgency because it doesn't matter because tomorrow is another day and there's no finish line. But really, those little habits add up. And it's and we'll talk about the one coin loophole later, but it's every day matters, but there's no deadline to finish it. It's an ongoing thing. It's like a puzzle that never ends.
Absolutely. Okay, so loophole number 7 is the questionable assumption loophole.
Uh-oh.
And this is essentially you assume something that either is questionable or flat out false that is irrelevant to making your decision. So you say something like, well, I paid for this buffet. I need to get my full value out of it. Or it's already Thursday. It's too late in the week to start doing this now. I'll wait till Monday. Or you say to yourself, this is a big one for me. Well, going to the gym is the only real form of exercise.
Yeah.
So why should, what difference is a walk going to make? What difference is taking the stairs going to make? Or I have an appointment at 11 a.m. It's 9 a.m. now. I shouldn't start anything.
This is a really big one for me. Like, oh, well, tomorrow we've got a thing, so I better not do it.
I'm too busy to take the stairs. So instead, I'm going to stand outside and wait for an elevator. And, I have many times at work, by the way, just as an aside, like taken the stairs and beaten people up who are waiting for elevators, which, so it's a questionable assumption, which isn't really necessarily, and a lot of times not true.
Well, and something I've been focusing on in Walt Place, We Only Look Thin Place, our accountability group, is something called invisible scripts. We grow up thinking that certain things relate to others. Like it's not a celebration without wine. I didn't grow up thinking, I wasn't like 10 when I thought that, but we can't have fun unless we're all drinking. It's not a real party unless there's tons of food.
Right.
And we come up with these, a good host will have 10 kinds of chips. And I was actually very proud of you. I don't know if we talked about this, the Super Bowl. You did not get the family size bag of Ruffles. You got a sensible size bag of Ruffles. I think that was the first time in the history of histories that it was actually a sensible portion.
And I know the anti-food wasters are going to be mad. We actually threw away part of that bag,
We did. I was very proud of us.
We didn't polish off the whole thing, even though, in the past I would have definitely felt obligated to do that.
Yeah, but it's, it's all those like, well, everyone's got to have a vice. And I used to use this all the time. At least I don't smoke, as though that was like, that canceled out the 4,000 calorie days.
Although in fairness, all the time you say things like that to me about our marriage. It's like, it's rarely like, well, you do this wonderful thing. Usually it's like, thank you for not chewing tobacco.
Well, we are what we are and what we aren't. It's that negative space that actually matters.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this one, it's always that like, well, I already did this, or I know I've already done that, so I might as well. When we use that so word, so I might as well, it's really leading us just to more distraction. And the big one, this is the really big one.
Yeah.
I know what to do.
Oh.
I just can't get myself to do it.
Oh.
Or it's pointless to try. That is such a huge loophole because I gained 100 pounds while doing Weight Watchers because I kept saying, well, I just can't, or, oh, I just blew it. I'll never get it right.
And here's a little secret. If you keep telling yourself that I know what to do, I just can't do it, or I can't get myself to do it, then you don't actually know what to do.
Yeah, no, it's not working. Just because something might have worked in the past, your circumstances have changed. So really watch out for that language of it's not this without that. I can't be happy unless I get, the large. It's not a real adventure unless we get, takeout 20 times along the way. Because those are just questionable assumptions.
They certainly are. Okay, so what's number 8?
Number 8 is this is my favorite.
Yeah.
A concern for others.
Oh, yeah.
I am so concerned. I am I don't want to brag, the least selfish person I know.
I mean,
clearly. I'm a doer for others.
Yeah, absolutely.
I make these chocolate chip cookies for you. Like, that is how you feel loved by me.
Right. There's no other option on that. I can't do this because it might make other people uncomfortable thing too, which is I can't get up early to exercise. Like, it'll make Catherine feel uncomfortable if I do that.
Yeah, setting boundaries will hurt other people's feelings. I don't want to really say what I need because that's rude.
Hey, I'm at a party. If I don't eat the cake that the host is serving, I'm going to make them feel really bad. So I really should do this.
Yeah, I'm going to really seem like a snob to my friends if I refuse to eat the junk food.
And, I also call this, and I think I came up with this. Maybe Catherine came up with this. I also call this the peer pressure loophole.
Yeah.
Which is that sort of like, you're with a group of people and they're like, come on, have that one drink. Like, come on, and then you feel like, oh, well, I don't want to make everyone feel bad by not doing it. So I'll have to do it.
Well, and yeah, because people want to be around people that do what they do. So it makes it uncomfortable when we set boundaries. But for me, and we've talked about this a little bit recently, is that at what point in your life do you deserve to have your boundaries and your needs met? For me, and I've said it before, it wasn't until maybe the last year and a half when I was starting to have perimenopause symptoms.
Yeah.
Where I was like, if I'm having hot flashes, I get to say what I need. Like, I don't, for some reason, it just really hit me of like, if not now, when? What is the perfect age to set boundaries? What is the perfect age to decide to tell people what you need? And it's been really empowering to know that I have a choice. And at least, not like people have to agree with me, or not that they might not be disappointed, but why not feel some pride in myself instead of being an accessory in somebody else's agenda?
Yes, absolutely. All right, so that brings us to loophole number 9. Sorry, I know that was terrible. Which is the fake self-actualization loophole, also known as the you only live once
YOLO, everybody.
Loophole. Embrace the moment. I have to die of something. I don't want to be too rigid.
Yep.
And, we tell ourselves that over and over again, and it leads eventually to 100 pounds overweight in my case.
Well, and it's generally not a long thought out process.
Right.
It's usually disguised as embracing life, accepting yourself, and it seems life affirming and almost spiritual. Like, oh my gosh, that's right. To live my best life, like, no one can tell me how much cake I can have.
Yeah.
Like, that's the new me. And when we do that, it feels like a big revelation. And then a week later, we can't fit into our pants, which is what would happen to me. And then I realized that it was just, in the end, a loophole.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's that over and over again. I mean, some of these are related, it ties into the, this doesn't count, and the, it's a celebration, and I just have to live life to the fullest, and living life to the fullest involves not exercising and sitting around and watching TV and eating as much food as I want. And eventually that leads to type 2 diabetes, and in my case, and, a shortening of your life eventually if you don't do something and turn it around.
Well, and I think, too, that identity thing, which we talked about recently on the Born Identity episode.
Oh, yeah.
Is that identifying as a caretaker. It's that identifying as a Polish woman. As a Polish woman.
Oh, yeah.
I love carbs. All Polish women all Italians love carbs. As someone who is from this region, we love cooking. We just can't cook without butter. We just can't do it. And I like butter. I'm not shaming butter, but everybody thinks that their region or their, ethnicity or nationality or whatever, they're the ones who like eating. I just like eating. Like, I don't need any flag to tell me what to eat. I just like carbs.
And that's sort of, ties back into the I just can't control myself loophole. Well, like my heritage insists that I eat pierogies. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? And it's like, okay, every single person of your ethnicity is addicted to pierogies. Is that really true?
Yeah. And that whole, like, well, I've got to die of something. Like, well, I'm perfect just as I am. When we, and we've talked about this before too, of like, there's loving yourself. And then there's enabling behavior that is taking you down a bad road. We have the opportunity to not have restrictions, but show restraint, knowing what I'm capable of. If someone said that they would pay me $1 million to gain 100 pounds in the next 3 months, that would not be a challenge at all.
No.
Like, I would just go for it. But showing restraint as an adult and knowing that I can have indulgences, but be mindful about what I do. Because if every day is a party, nothing is special. Like, you're only going to live once for a very short time if you give in to every impulse like a toddler.
And something I do now over and over again is ask myself how I'm going to feel about this choice later.
Yeah.
It seems great in the moment to just, say, oh, what the heck, you only live once. But I have learned to stop myself and say, how am I going to feel about this later? Like, am I going to be happy about it tomorrow or even in an hour? Like, is this going to be something that I'm proud of myself for? And it has really helped me to sort of temper those moments when I try and give in to the you only live once notion.
Well, and we only live once, true, but we also pay consequences for the choices we make. It doesn't mean that freedom of speech doesn't come with freedom of consequence, and it's the same thing with food. Yes, we have the ability to do what we want. Yes, we can, make choices for ourselves, but the physical consequences of eating the way I used to eat put me at 145 pounds more than I was. We often cringe, we'll just be chatting about stuff and realize how many indulgences we allowed ourselves every day. It wasn't, special occasion. Every day was a special occasion, and it was killing us. And if we just listen to that craving part of ourselves without putting some boundaries in place, sure, you live once, but again, it's not going to be a rich life.
Yeah. And, just from a mental well-being standpoint, I feel so much better about myself and my circumstances when I plan ahead for my exceptions and I follow, if I say to myself, well, on the Super Bowl Sunday or, on a particular day, if I plan it, 6 weeks ahead, 8 weeks ahead, and, I have that to look forward to and I stick to that. And that's my, day of indulgence or my event of indulgence. And then I'm right back on my plan. I feel so much better about it than when I'm just sort of winging it and by the seat of my pants going like, hey, I only live once. Like, I'm going to eat a whole cake right now.
Yeah. I definitely used to do that. And I'm going to pull a Donald Weigel and say, and to round this one out, to close the loop on this one, I don't even know if you have anything else to say on it.
No, I'm done.
Gretchen Rubin says, I accept myself, but I expect more from myself. We can accept where we are, but still challenge ourselves and challenge our thoughts around our choices. She said, don't listen to your body, learn from your body. I know when I eat tons of sugar, I wake up with a food hangover, with indigestion, with acid reflux, and I know my limits. If I go too far, my body reacts negatively. It is telling me all the time, like, oh, you need to sleep all day because you ate. That's not a healthy habit. That's not a healthy amount of food. So are you doing this to yourself? How can you change that and pull back a little bit? Because we do, again, have agency in our choices.
All right. We are finally at number 10, the 10th Gretchen Rubin loophole, which we are making about weight loss and fitness. Darling, why don't you take us home?
And it is the one coin loophole.
And this is, I know I just said you should take us home, and then I started talking. This is my favorite one. I could probably dissect this one forever. This one ties right into tiny habits and atomic habits and the there is no finish line, and it's really a super keystone loophole in my opinion. Okay, now tell us what it is.
That's Donald's favorite. I feel under. Okay, so Gretchen Rubin talks about the one coin, and the question is, how many coins does it take to make someone rich?
Yeah.
Does a penny make you rich? And day by day, if you add a penny, at some point you will say you are rich. Maybe it'll take 10 years or whatever, but penny by penny, we build up our wealth. But at one point you're not rich. And at one point you are rich.
Yeah, so there is a line at which, one coin actually does make you rich.
Right, it tips the scale.
Yeah.
So it's that, how many times does it take to make something true? How many pounds does it take to become thin? Will losing 1 pound matter? Will taking one walk matter? Will tracking one breakfast matter? Maybe the single thing on its own doesn't, but day after day, coin after coin, as you fill the jar, you become someone who walks. You become pound by pound someone who loses weight. And I think we get so impatient saying like, well, I just want to lose 100 pounds. That seems insurmountable. Could you lose 1 pound? Okay. Could you do that again? Sure, but I want to lose 100. Okay, well, day after day,
right.
Week after week, if you lose a pound at some point, you will get to that 100. But we're impatient and we want it all at once.
Yeah, any one particular action seems inconsequential, but the sum of those actions over time is what adds up to the result that we're getting. We over and over again say to ourselves, and sort of parroting what Catherine just said, but well, if I'm only going to lose 5 pounds this year, then why bother? But then in 5 years, you lose 5 pounds a year. In 5 years, you're down 25 pounds. And I know for some people that's like, but I want to lose it all right now. Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is you're going to stay the same or you're going to gain weight. What is better, staying the same, gaining weight, or in 5 years being down 25 pounds? Like, which result would you rather have? And it's sort of adapting that mindset of, hey, this one small action seems inconsequential, but you have the rest of your life to make it happen. And, building that up and doing that one thing over and over again eventually leads to, I think about that ant like pushing the rubber tree plant over, a little bit at a time. And eventually that rubber tree plant goes down.
Exactly. And I think too with BJ Fogg and Tiny Habits. So he talks about how we think about breaking habits, like it's exerting extreme pressure at one time will suddenly snap us out of whatever we're in. But that is just false because it's small, sustainable habits over time and changes of behavior that actually make a difference. But we have been taught, through, decades of watching, get thin, quick things. I actually saw, I don't even know if I told you this, a cabbage soup recipe on YouTube the other day. Like really? I follow some food things and it was like, lose 10 to 15 pounds this week with this recipe. I'm like, how is that still a thing?
Yeah.
But people get disappointed with, oh, I've only lost 3 pounds this month. Like you said, I want something big. I want something impactful. But I spent 20 years trying to lose 100 pounds fast.
Yeah.
And I just went up on the scale. I told you, in 3 years, I gained 100 pounds doing Weight Watchers because I wanted to get there quick and intensely. And when I couldn't, I felt like I wasn't complying. So I revenge ate because that was my reward for it. But this time, those slow, boring habits, Donald doesn't like it when I say boring, but those slow habits actually led up to me losing a total of 145 pounds and keeping it off now for, 4.5 years, almost 5 years. I don't even
well,
anymore.
and you and me both. I just wanted to point out though that there's also a flip side to this, which is that all or nothing attitude that people have that, which is twofold kind of. One is that they say to themselves, well, what difference is it going to make if I break this habit this one time? What is this one time going to do?
Yeah.
And really, this one time probably isn't a big deal, but one time leads to 2 times, leads to 4 times, and I'll just keep saying numbers over and over again until finally you're just breaking in air quotes, your habit, the good habit the positive habit that you tried to instill. And then the other thing people do all the time is, well, I've been on this plan for, a month straight. Oh, and then I went off this one time. Well, it's over.
Yeah, it's proof that I can't.
There's no reason to continue going on. And it was that kind of mindset that kept me stuck going up and down the scale over and over again for most of my adult life until I realized, one time, if I have a day where I don't stick to my plan and then I just get right back on it the next day, I can actually achieve my weight loss goal, and I can stick to it for, it's been, like Catherine just said, like 4.5 years now.
Well, and two, we dismiss small negative behaviors or unhelpful behaviors.
Right.
And we dismiss small positive behaviors. What's the difference? If nothing matters, then nothing matters. We put off the good and we dismiss the bad as being as bad as it is. I know I came up with that wackadoodle math about the 300 calories a day adding up to over 100,000 calories.
Almost 110.
Yes. Oh, but thank you
I'm
for
not
coming back
I'm not going to say the specific number.
Thanks. I appreciate that. But everything matters. If you take, if you walk for 5 minutes a day, over the course of a year, I didn't do this math. That's a lot of steps. What is better, doing none until you can commit a half hour?
Right.
Or just starting with the 5 minutes? Because that's what we did. And guess what? It paid off. So,
yeah.
Nanny, boo-boo.
If I do nothing else in my life except convince one person to give up their all or nothing attitude about this, then I will have considered my life's mission complete.
Excellent.
Like, I'm not even joking about that. Like, that to me is one of the worst mindsets that we have in society in general, especially when it comes to health and fitness. But that idea, if we can't do the perfect thing, then let's do nothing. We have to do all of it or none of it. It just isn't true. And in weight loss and fitness, it certainly is destructive in helping you achieve your goals.
Yeah. And I think to round this all out for the 2 episodes, I think the big question at the end of all this and any episode is, how is that working out for you? How is that serving you? Are you satisfied with the results of your thoughts and of your actions, your habits, and your behaviors? Is it getting you what you say you want for yourself? How are all of these limiting beliefs serving you? Because I'm guessing, as it was for me, that all it did was confirm that I was broken, that my body wasn't up to the challenge of losing the weight. And I never thought that after age 40, that it was possible to take agency in my life. I was on a decline, but once I decided that I could take agency in my life and take control of my boundaries, it changed everything. And we are confident that it is possible for you.
Absolutely. And I am also satisfied with your thoughts, actions, and behaviors that led you to listening to this episode of We Only Look Thin. You can find all of our episodes wherever you found this one, and also anytime at our website, weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on the link for join our support group. And
do that.
Find out more about Wolt Place, We Only Look Thin Place. It is a Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for accountability, habit tracking, lots of Zoom meetings every month. I do a weekly newsletter, and it's just some amazing fellowship with people in all stages of weight loss on all kinds of plans. We actually had a member join yesterday, and she posted about, where she is in her journey. And like over a dozen people commented immediately welcoming her and, sharing insights. And it just feels really great to know that you're not, lost in a sea of 50,000 people, in a Weight Watcher group, that it's actually just a small group of women who know each other's names, know their families, and really get to support one another in a private way on Facebook, which Facebook doesn't seem super private all the time. But you can find out more by going to our website. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 7-day complimentary trial with a 3-month subscription. So check it out.
Yeah. And look, I don't hang out in the group. It's for women. But I do read the newsletter every week, and there's some really helpful content just in the weekly newsletter.
Yeah, we don't even talk about it on this podcast.
No, we don't. I mean, and there are topics that Catherine goes into depth in the newsletter that could be episodes of this show. I mean, they really play it like that. It's sort of like it might take me 5 or 7 minutes to read the newsletter, and it plays like a 5 or 7 minute episode of the show in my head. And there are many times where I'm like, hey, that's a really good idea. I need to take that into my life. So I'm getting something out of it as well.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to interact with us in other ways, you can always find us through social media at We Only Look Thin on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can even email us, and we will respond. We love episode suggestions as well. We've taken quite a few listener emails and turned them into episodes as well. You can reach us that way through weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you have a couple of extra minutes and feel like maybe not invoking loopholes around not doing it, head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review, or just a rating. Give us some 5-star love. That would be great.
Yeah, that takes like a second to do.
Yeah. I actually do it every once in a while for myself just to see if it matters. It only takes it once. It's not like you can vote as many times as you like on American Idol.
I'm not sure I've ever given us a 5-star review, actually.
Well,
maybe I need to.
Maybe you need to. But leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it boost our morale, but it also helps other people find us. Apple boosts us in the ratings. So it actually really does matter. So thank you. We don't always see the international ones. I know we've gotten some international ones, but like Australia has their own Apple thing, so we don't always see it, but we truly appreciate getting the word out.
Absolutely. And also, speaking of getting the word out, if you could just tell somebody about the show, that also helps. If you know someone you think that would enjoy us or get some value out of our advice, just tell them about it. We appreciate it.
Yep.
So if you still aren't sure if the real hero of this episode is Samantha, who gave us the idea for the title, or Tag Team, who came up with the original song, just remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.